Hi guys, so I'm filming this off the cuff in my car after I've just dropped baby Star off at daycare for her second time ever being away from me in her entire life. I just had a little cry and I had something to eat, and I thought I'm just going to shoot a video because I've got to wait for the next couple of hours to see how she goes. So I thought I'd let you know how it's going. Apologies for the background noise in my car. I have to have the engine on and the air conditioning on because it is so freaking hot where I live in this part of Australia. It's like so hot that if I was to get out of the car now with my glasses on, they would fog up. It's full on almost 100% humidity. So the only way to survive is to go somewhere air conditioned or sit in your car and waste petrol, waste gas on air conditioning. So I'm going to do that for 10 minutes because it's just too hot to stand outside and film. So for those of you who don't know me, my name's TJ. I'm the mother to a little girl who on this channel we call Baby Star, and I had her by myself at the age of 48. She's just turned 2 about 6 weeks ago, and I'm currently pregnant with baby number 2. I don't know if you can see that, if I show you my bump. I'm halfway there. So this is going to be another totally off the cuff video with no planning and no editing, but I just wanted to share this huge milestone that's happened in my life as a single mother by choice and in my daughter's life as the daughter of a single mother by choice, because we're in quite a unique situation that she really has been with me 24/7 for the last 2 years, or 2 years and 6 weeks. And I know that's quite an unusual situation. Every solo mother is in a very different circumstance. The thing we all have in common is that we are 100% responsible for our child. There's no one else. There's no backup person. We have to pay all the bills. If something happens to us, we have to have someone lined up in our will to be the guardian. So, you know, we all have that in common. But apart from that, we all have different situations. So I know some single mothers by choice who have, you know, their parents living in the same house or around the corner, so the child has constant care from the grandparents, and they can leave the child with the grandparents in the evenings and go out for dinners or go out to a movie or get their hair done, or they don't have to pay for daycare maybe because the grandparents are looking after them. I know people like that. I know people who've had to put their children into care, their child into care very early because they're working full-time as a solo mum, and the solo mum has to be the full breadwinner. So many solo mums, many single mothers by choice around the world are having to put their children into daycare very early, which is totally understandable. So in that case, they're still the primary caregiver, obviously, and the only parent that that child has, but that child from an early age is used to being looked after by other people. And then there are some women who are single mothers by choice who are stay-at-home mums. Maybe they work from home, or maybe they had savings, or there's some other reason why they're able to afford to stay at home for maybe 6 months or a year, or sometimes 3 months. But for that period of time when you're staying at home with your child, you are the only caregiver unless you happen to have family that lives nearby that can help. And some people are in hybrid situations. I have a cousin who's actually a solo mum by choice, single mum by choice, and she lives in a big city in Australia, and she has her mother who helps almost every day. She has her brother, she has auntie, she's like surrounded by family, and this child is constantly looked after by other people while my cousin gets work done or goes to a job or just wants some me time. So that child is used to being looked after by lots of people. My situation is quite different because I've managed to wrangle things so that I could stay at home with my child. I had some savings, and then I've also found a way to work. I've been able to work quite a lot while I've been looking after her for the last 2 years. I'd say, apart from in my first trimester recently when I was too tired to work, for the last year and a half, I reckon I've been able to get about 5 hours work done a day at home, working from home on various projects that I'm doing. Trying to bring money in, obviously, as a solo mum, I'm trying to bring money in to supplement what I already have. You know, I've used up most of my savings, so I really do have to bring some money in now. But also just passion projects like this one I'm doing to support other women around the world who are on a baby journey. Some of you know I run an online private community for solo mums, women on the solo mum path, and also for older women who are trying to have babies at an older age or using donor eggs. Basically women who are doing this in a very unusual way. And we have about, I don't know, 100, 120 women in the community now from lots of different countries, and I check in every day and talk to everyone in there, and we have lots of support, and we're starting some Zoom face-to-face kind of groups. So that's been a real passion project of mine. But, you know, I have found ways to get work done, which has enabled me to be able to continue to be the sole carer of my child and not have to put her into daycare. Now, I know a lot of people are not in that situation. They have jobs where they're not working from home. They have to go out to the job. They have to leave their child with daycare. I have no judgment about that. If that was my situation, I would do that. So I'm just sharing my particular story, which is quite unique, that I've been able to sort of swing it to stay home with her. And there may be other women watching who are considering becoming a solo mum who have ways to work from home or some sort of financial backing that enables them to be a stay-at-home mum. And so I just thought I'd share with you what it's like when you have been the sole carer for your child. If you're in a situation like mine where I don't have any family here, I don't have any family in this state. So it's not like I've really been able to leave her with anyone. I mean, I guess I could have hired a babysitter, but until recently, Baby Star was breastfed every 2 or 3 hours around the clock. So she just was breastfed on demand. So I always thought, how am I going to leave her with someone? Like, she's, you know, in a couple of hours, I'm going to have to be back to feed her. Now, I suppose I could have trained her to drink from a bottle or drink from something, a sippy cup, but because I didn't need to, and I was able to work from home, and I love spending time with her, I didn't really like jump that hurdle with her. So then it got kind of too late to do that, and I was like, how's she going to switch to using a bottle now? So I probably left it too late, and you know, I just made it work. And also, like, I love being with her, and she is a very easy child, and I've also implemented a lot of things that have made it easy to stay at home with her. Like, I've taught her how to do independent play. She plays by herself a lot of the time. I can get stuff done. I've actually recorded a seminar with all the tips of how I have managed to work from home and get like 5 hours work done most days with a baby and then a toddler by myself with no help. So if anyone's in that situation, you want tips for how you can get stuff done while you're looking after a baby or looking after a toddler, you can do it. It's totally doable. You just have to think in a creative way, and you have to foster independent play in your child, and you have to use the nap times well, and you have to be very efficient with how you clean your house and get stuff done. And there's lots and lots of tips, and I figured them all out over the past 2 years. So I actually recorded a seminar. I've actually got a whole series of seminars. I haven't really told you guys about it yet because I did it ages ago and I haven't really been promoting it. But I have done a whole series of seminars. I've recorded about 23 seminars of things that will help women who are on the path to becoming a solo mum, addressing your fears and your concerns, but also giving you lots and lots of tips on how to have an easy time as a solo mum, because I've actually had a fairly easy time. I've learned a lot of tips and strategies and techniques to make it easier. So one of the seminars I recorded is about how to get stuff done when you're a stay-at-home mum with a baby or a toddler and you don't have any help from a husband or grandparents or something. So if you want to listen to that seminar, it's in a series called My Solo Mum Support Series, which is on my website, mybabydream.club. I'll put the link down below in the description. So definitely listen to that. I put a lot of tips into it. But anyway, because of all those tips, I've been able to work from home and get stuff done. And so I've been able to be a full-time stay-at-home mum with her for 2 years, which has meant that she's never been with anyone else other than a couple of times when I've taken her to the dentist or somewhere like that and I really couldn't bring her in because they were doing something full on. And I've asked a friend to wheel her around the block in the pram, in the stroller, for like half an hour while I ran into the appointment. Apart from those 2 or 3 times in her entire life, she has never been away from me. So I've been very, very nervous about what was going to happen when I eventually put her into daycare. Now you might say, why are you putting her into daycare if you've got this whole situation sorted and you don't need to? Well, because I'm pregnant, 20 weeks pregnant with baby number 2, and I would like Baby Star to be in care at least 2 days a week when the baby comes, so that I can have some time just to bond with the baby, because I'm so bonded with Baby Star and we spend all day together, and I want to give some of that to the baby. I mean, I feel bad. He's not going to get what she's had. He's not going to get me 24/7 to himself because I've got another child. So, but at least 2 days a week where I can focus 100% on him. Eventually, we'll probably move it up to 3 days a week. But from everything I've learned about having baby number 2, one of the ways to make it easier for baby number 1 is to do any big adjustments well in advance. So like more than 3 months in advance. Yeah, so this big transition to daycare, I wanted to do well in advance. So my baby's not due for another about 4 months, 4.5 months. So hopefully by 4.5 months time, Baby Star will be used to going to daycare and looking forward to it. And then I'll probably need some help in those first few weeks because I won't be able to drive after my cesarean. I'll probably need to get somebody to take her to daycare, maybe the first couple of weeks, drop her off, pick her up. And I don't know yet who I'm going to do, but I'll obviously have to hire some sort of helper. After that, after those first few weeks when I'm able to drive, I could probably take her. But anyway, I wanted her to be used to daycare before any of that happens. And by the way, I should have said the other reason why I decided to put her into daycare is also because she's at the age where she's becoming quite social. She really is. She loves interacting with other kids. She loves talking to everyone. It's good for her to make some bonds with some other adults that are not me. And I mean regular bonds, because the place I've chosen, she will see the same carers every single time. So she'll form some really close bonds with 2 or 3 other adults, which is really important for her development. But also just that time, she's still doing parallel play, but she definitely interacts a lot with kids. She's very friendly. So I just thought this is she's ready now. She's ready. She needs, for her developmental needs, to start interacting more with kids, to get to know the same kids over and over, and to connect more regularly with some other adults. So it's not just to make room for the new baby, it's also for her own development. And also to give my nervous system this break a couple of days a week where I don't have to be constantly vigilant watching for a child. And then obviously as I get more and more pregnant, I may need to just sleep and rest on these 2 days. I don't know how my pregnancy is going to go in the 3rd trimester. So it will be really good to have 2 free days a week. Obviously once the baby comes, that will be gone, but at least I'll have time with him, just me and him. But, you know, this is a big change for her. Like, she's always been with me. And even though she plays independently and we've got a very secure attachment, so that means I can be in one room, she can be in another room. She's happy as long as she knows I'm somewhere in the house. She's not clingy, she's not needy, she's very secure. One of the advantages of being a solo mum is that you form a very strong bond with your child, and also often it's a calmer environment for them than in a household with parents who are fighting or co-parenting issues and all the stuff that a lot of kids have to go through when they're living. I mean, I've got a lot of friends who are not a solo parents. Their kids are acting out because the parents are fighting all the time. So, you know, in a solo mum house, it's very calm. Often the children can be quite securely attached. Depends, you know, if they're the primary carer, if they've been passed around to lots of different people. But if you're in a situation where you're stay-at-home mum, you've been with your child all the time, they're likely to be very secure. So she is very secure. But there's a big but. I've always been somewhere in the house. So that's probably why she's secure. Like, how is she going to go when I'm suddenly not there? And there was one time when I was visiting family recently in Melbourne when I left her with my father at his house during her 2-hour nap, and I fed her breast milk, put her down to sleep, and then ran off to get my hair cut. And I came back and I got home after she'd woken up, and she was crying. He said he could not get her to calm down for like half an hour. So that's the only time she's ever like not had me there, and she did not handle it, which is completely understandable. So I was like, how is she going to go daycare? So anyway, with this daycare center, it's a beautiful little place. It's not too big. The people are lovely. I really like it. I looked at about 7 different places. I was really picky because, you know, I knew this was going to be a big transition for her. I didn't want one of those giant centers with gazillion kids and she'll catch every illness and be sick for the next 3 months. I just wanted somewhere small, but somewhere that would provide food so I didn't have to make food every time, because I don't have time for that. As I said, I'm trying to get work done from home. So if I've got any spare minutes, I'm not making meals, I'm getting work done. So anyway, I found this beautiful place and I love their philosophy. It's a Reggio Emilia philosophy. I don't know if any of you know about that. It's a little bit similar to Montessori, but very much child-led. They let the children decide the activities every day. They get together in a little circle and all the little kids choose what activity they're going to do. It's really nice. And before you start with a proper day of daycare, you do 2 play dates where you go with your child and you spend a few hours there, and so they can get to know the facilities and the people and the environment, and so they feel comfortable when you eventually do leave them there. So the 2 play dates went really well, but I noticed in the 2 play dates that if I like tried to go to the toilet or slip away into the other room and say, darling, I'll see you in a minute, I'm just going to pee-pee, she would want to come with me. She just did not want me to leave her alone. So I was like, how's this going to go next week when I drop her for the actual real daycare? So that was a few days ago. So she's booked in for Mondays and Fridays. So today's Friday. I just did the second one. But I'll tell you how the first one went, which was a few days ago on Monday. So that was really hard. That was one of the hardest things I've ever done in my entire 50 years of life, dropping her off on Monday. So what happened was I went in with her. I stayed there for about an hour with her first because she's the sort of child who takes a long time when she's in a new environment. She wants to sit on mummy. Like when I take her to any baby class, sensory class, baby music class, anything, whenever I've taken her to anything in her whole life, she's always sat on me for a long time, especially for the first few weeks. And then she ventures out and goes off and plays by herself and is very happy, but she always likes to be near mummy in the beginning. So I thought, you know what, I'm gonna do that with daycare. So I stayed the first hour, sat with her while she had morning tea, played with all the kids. And then when she was off and she'd left me and she was off being independent, playing by herself, looking at stuff and reading books, I thought, okay, this is a good time. Now, the advice is not to just sneak off because that could traumatize them. You have to tell them you're leaving. So I said to her, and I've been reading her this book. It's called Owl Babies. I'll put a link to that. Hopefully I'll remember to put a link to that. It's a fantastic book. Someone recommended it to me. It's about these little owl babies who are missing their mummy, and eventually the mummy owl flies back and the child learns that the owl mummy always comes back. The owl mummy always comes back. So I'd been reading her the Owl Baby's book for weeks leading up to this day. And so when I was saying goodbye to her and I was saying, Mummy's going to go do some shopping now. We'll come back very soon. Just remember the owl mummy always comes back. I'm going to go and I'm going to buy some milk and I'm going to buy some cheese. I'm going to buy some bananas. I might even buy you a little bit of chocolate, and I'm going to go do some shopping, and you're going to play with your friends here, and then I'm going to come back. And as soon as she realized I was leaving, she started crying. I mean, really crying, like clinging to me, screaming, crying, did not want to let me go. And I was like, oh my God, this is awful. And they like peeled her off me, and one of the other women hugged her and cuddled her. And I just had to somehow walk away, even though she was screaming and crying and I could hear it. And it was awful. It was just awful. I sat in the car and I cried and I cried and I cried. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to sit out here in my car because she might not be able to handle this. They might need me to come pick her up in half an hour if they can't get her to calm down. The women said to me, if she doesn't calm down after half an hour, we'll call you. But if she does, it'll be fine. So I asked the woman who runs the center, I said, look, I'm going to sit in my car outside. Come and tell me how she's going, give me some updates. Now, because we're in this crazy tropical weather at the moment here, it's either boiling hot or it's pouring with boiling hot rain. It's boiling hot either way. So it was one of those days with pouring rain. So I'm sitting in the car crying. I'm texting my best friend and my sister and my dad. This is awful. I hate this. She's crying so much. This poor thing. I feel so mean leaving her. I feel like I'm breaking her heart. And about every 20 minutes, the owner of the place would come out in the pouring rain to give me an update. And the first update was like, she's still crying, but it's getting better. And then she came in the next 20 minutes. She said, look, she's not crying anymore, but she's very noisy. She's being very noisy. But it's definitely better. And then she came out the third time and said, look, I think you need to go because she's talking really, really loudly, saying, Mummy, Mummy, and talking really loudly because she thinks you're still in the building. She doesn't understand that you've left. She thinks you're in another room. So that's why she's talking really loudly and saying Mummy all the time, because she thinks you can hear her and you're going to come back. I was like, oh my God, she doesn't even understand the concept of me being gone. This doesn't make any sense to her. She just thinks I'm in the building somewhere. So they said, we're going to give her a tour. We can take her on a tour to show her that you're not here. So please drive off because we don't want her to see your car. I was like, this poor little girl, she's so confused. So I drove off and I had this awful hour where I tried to get some food and pass the time, look at my phone, and then eventually I got it. They do a post. It's one of those daycare centers where they update you with posts and how your child's going. And a post came saying she's settled, she's reading a Bluey book, we're reading a Bluey book with her, she loves Bluey, and she keeps telling us all that you're going to bring her chocolate. I was like, oh my God, it's working, she's okay. So then I thought, I'm not going to push it, we'll just do a half day. And I came back just around the time all the little ones were having their lunch, and I walked in, they said, don't go in, she's happy. Let's let her be happy there for a while. You just stay out the front. So I stayed out the front for about half an hour while apparently she was sitting and eating happily. All the other kids were getting ready for their sleep. All the other kids go to sleep about 12. It was now about 12:45. All the other kids were lying in their cots, but she was sitting there eating, happy eating, looking at all the kids sleeping and talking about mummy's bringing me chocolate. Luckily, I did go and buy her a little tiny chocolate because I thought I'd better bring her one if that's what she's telling everyone. That's what she thinks. So that'll help her. Anyway, so when I went in, this was really interesting. I don't know if any of you have studied psychology or know anything about secure attachment, but there's a test they do called, an experiment they do called I think it's called the Stranger Experiment or something like that experiment. And they put a 1-year-old in a room with a stranger and the mother leaves, and then they watch the child's reaction, and the child screams and cries and is really upset. But the experiment starts when the mother comes back into the room. How does this child react when the mother comes back? So the securely attached child might cry a bit, cuddle their mums, they're glad to see them, but then within a couple of minutes they're happy again and they're showing them toys and they're playing, they're happy. The anxiously attached child does not calm down. The mother comes back and they cry 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 and they cannot calm down. They're very, very relieved to see their mum and they're just very, very upset. The avoidant child, the avoidantly attached child, this I think is the saddest one whenever I've watched this experiment. The mother comes in and the child's just like limp. They won't look at the mum, they won't make eye contact, they're just disconnected, they're shut off, they've shut their feelings down. Because this is a child of a mother who's not usually available and they've learnt that their mum's never going to be there for them. And this is like a 1-year-old having this reaction. So I was really curious to see what would happen when I come back in, because I'm pretty sure Baby Star's securely attached. As I said, she's had me to herself 24/7. She's had all her needs met. And it turned out to be true, because basically what happened was I walked in and she just, "Mummy!" And I went over to her and she just covered me with kisses. And then she just sat there happily eating and patting my shoulder, eating and saying, telling me all about the food, and then just pointing to the cots and telling me about all the other, she doesn't speak much, she's only 2, but sleeping, the kid's sleeping, she was saying. And I was like, oh my God, chocolate, you bring chocolate. I said, yes, I got you some chocolate. So then we went home and I thought, I'm not going to push it. We're not going to leave her there for the afternoon. So I thought it actually went very well, even though it was extremely traumatizing for me when I left her, and I found it really, really hard. So today, 3 days later, that was Monday, today's Friday, we did it again. And the same exact same thing. The only difference is today is not pouring with rain. It's a boiling hot day, but it's not as hot as it has been the last couple of weeks. So the kids were playing outside a little bit, and I sat with her while she ate morning tea. And then when she was happily playing by herself, I said to her, Mummy's going to go now and do a bit of shopping. I'll buy you some chocolate. I'll be back soon. You have a nice play with your friends and I'll be back soon. And as soon as I said that, she started crying and clinging to me and crying. It was awful. Now, I know there are lots of strategies and tips you can do, and I'm going to start implementing them, but this was only the second time. So the second time I'm just doing it very traditional. I'm just cuddling her. And then they just peeled her off me, and one of the women cuddled her and I just walked away. And again, I sat in the car and cried. Then I've just gone and had a breakfast. And I'll come back into the car because it's air conditioned. And yeah, I just got a message from them now, which was probably sent about 40 minutes after I dropped her off, saying she's calmed down much quicker this time. She's playing with bubbles, chasing bubbles and saying, Mummy, bringing chocolate. So, you know, it may be like this for the first few weeks, that she just cries and cries and cries when I leave, and then she calms down. So eventually we'll work up to doing a full day, but I think it's going to be okay. I really do. I think she's going to be okay. She's a very secure child. She's a happy child. She's very happy within herself, but this is a very new experience for her, being away from her one person she's always with. And it's a new experience for me too. It's weird. It's like weird. Where is my child? Look at the weird. It's weird not having her somewhere in the house, somewhere in the vicinity. And also, I think what's going to be a big change for me is I'm used to constantly, a part of my mind is always, where is Baby Star? What's she doing right now? Can I hear her? Especially if I'm in another part of the house, I'm always like, where is she? Part of my brain is always listening to her, even when I'm asleep. Like last night, she stirred in her sleep and I just woke up. Like I'm always only half asleep. I'm only half full present. Even when I'm working, I mean, usually she's asleep when I'm working, but still, there's always part of my brain attuned to where is she okay? And right now, you know, I've driven off somewhere else, like someone else is looking after her, and I don't actually have to worry about, is she okay? I mean, part of me is still worried, but it's not like I'm having that, where is she, what's she doing? Where is she, what's she doing? Like, I think over the next few months, as I have these 2 days a week where I'm not constantly vigilant, it will be really good for my nervous system to have this little break twice a week of just, I can just focus 100% on whatever I'm doing right now, whether it's working or doing something for myself or catching up with a friend or whatever, that I can just be fully present, knowing someone else is watching my child. So anyway, this is a huge milestone. I'm sorry I've talked for so long. I thought this would be a 10-minute video, but I got a lot to say about it. It's been big. It's been really big. But I'm very relieved that it's going okay so far. And I'll keep you posted on how it goes in coming weeks, but I think it's going to be okay. So anyway, well done to Baby Star for making this big adjustment. Well done to me for somehow doing it. And hopefully this has been useful for some of you who are considering becoming a solo mom, just to think through some of the things that you might have to face. And yeah, definitely check out that series that I've made with lots of tips on how to look after a baby by yourself. and how to get things done at home when you're looking after a baby by yourself. And also, if you want to get some support from other women who are on the same path, make sure to join our community, mybabydream.club. We have lots of women on this path who are all supporting each other. All right, guys, there'll be another video here, somewhere here. There'll be another video somewhere here. That will be helpful to you if you're on the solo mum journey. All right, guys, speak soon. Bye.